Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're brand new. If you are, go ahead, hit the subscribe button so you can see future videos. But for today, I am going to be making a video that goes over what I've read between April to pretty much now, which is end of June, because I have not been updating my channel, but that's going to change with this video. So the first book that I read in April is The Fault in Our Stars, and this one is the last book in my John Green readathon. I had read Paper Towns and Looking for Alaska. Those I didn't really vibe with as much. This one I thought had a more concrete and compelling story as opposed to the others two. I did rate this one 4 stars. I thought that it was very well written and it holds up with the reputation that it has. So I'm really happy that I did read it. If by any chance you don't know anything about this book, it pretty much follows a young teenage girl named Hazel Grace who has cancer, and she meets this other boy named Augustus or Gus who also has cancer, and it pretty much goes through their love journey. And that's all I'm gonna say in case you haven't read it, but I would recommend it. Again, rating it 4 stars. Yeah, let's go to the next book that I read in April. So the second book that I read in April is One of Us is Lying, and this one is one that I didn't think I was going to get to in April. I thought this was going to be a book that I read in May because I was going to do my Hunger Games readathon, but a part of me was kind of iffy on starting Hunger Games right away because I just finished my John Green readathon, and I was like, even though the John Green ones weren't like a trilogy or like part of the same series, they were still part of the same author. And I was still like in that mindset. So I was like, before I get to Hunger Games, let me have a palate cleanser and then get to Hunger Games. So I read this one, and this is a reread. I have read this one before. If you don't know anything about it, it's pretty much a YA novel where there's 5 teenagers that are in detention. One of them dies during detention, and the other 4 are left as suspects for the murder. And you're trying to figure out who did it, right? And it does shift in perspective, so you are getting other people's perspectives, and then at the end, everything is revealed. I did rate this one as 4 stars. I think that overall it does hold up with the first time that I read it because I already know the ending. I already know what happened and like how the deaths occurred, who killed who, and everything. But my reason for rereading this was trying to see if this was going to hold up to it because when I read it the first time, I thought it was great. I was really into the characters and the story and everything. But now that I knew the ending, I wanted to know if it would still hold up, and I will say that it does. I will be having a review video out for this one soon. But yeah, for me, it's still a 4 star out of 5. So let's move on to the next book. All right, so the next one is The Hunger Games. Now, this one is a book that I have read before multiple times, but I honestly watch the movies more than I read the books just because it's less time consuming and I'm able to binge the movies a lot faster. But diving back into the books, it was like a breath of fresh air in the best way possible because the books are so well written. I was planning on doing a reading vlog for the trilogy, but like halfway through the recordings and everything, I ended up getting sick because of my seasonal allergies. Like they just hit. And I still continued reading because I was well enough to read, but I didn't feel well enough to like really record because of like all of my sneezing and everything. It was not a good time. And then what ended up happening was I did finish Catching Fire, and then I started Mockingjay, but again, like I had pretty much stopped really recording and giving updates because of how I was feeling, and I felt guilty. So then I didn't continue reading because I knew that I had to continue recording, but I didn't feel in the mood for recording. So then that literally took all of May for me to really recuperate. But then also, I was also busy from work and I was just socially drained. I didn't really have the energy to really record and like sit here and talk because I've been talking all day at work. Like I'm a teacher, like I'm around a lot of energy and I have to be really social. And by nature, I'm introverted. So that took a lot out of me. But, anyways, back to the book. 5 out of 5. It's amazing. I will be doing some type of video. I don't know if I'm going to do like a review video for the trilogy or if I'm going to do it individually or if I'm not sure because I really only plan to do that one video for the Hunger Games, like just a reading vlog. But because I didn't do the reading vlog, maybe I should just do separate reviews. So with that said, I'm giving this book 5 out of 5. I've always gave it 5 out of 5, but I truly love how rich this book is, because you can go into so many different conversations, whether it's the plot, the themes, character developments, and insights and everything. Like, this book has it all. The rest of the series has it all, but this one lays such a foundation for it. Like, it's iconic for a reason. Now, the last book that I read in April was Catching Fire. Again, I was reading this during my reading vlog experience, but that didn't pan out. I just ended up scrapping it. But I love this book. It introduces characters that are really compelling, and they just add more layers to the capital side of things, because in the first book you get a lot of the District 12 characters, or just like the characters that are really close with Katniss, whereas in Catching Fire now you're getting different people who have experienced the games because they are tributes. And I think one of the things that was so well done with this book is the fact that if this is your first time reading it, it makes you think that Katniss is going to experience one thing in the story and something completely different happens. 5 out of 5. Highly recommend this whole series. All right, so those are all the books that I read in April. I read 4 books in total. Now, moving on to May, did not read a single book. I did start reading Mockingjay, and I did continue reading Ruin and Rising in May, but I never finished them. It was just one of the things that, like, when I had energy to read, I would read them, but I never fully finished them. May was a dud, but we came back in June. So the first book that I finished reading in June is Ruin and Rising. I finally, finally finished reading this. If you have been following along, you would know that I have been reading this book since, I think, February. So even though it took me like a couple months to finish this book, by all means, that doesn't mean that this is a bad book at all. I actually really enjoyed it. It is the third book of a trilogy, and one of the things that I've noticed when I've read the Bardugo's books with this trilogy is that each book gets better in sense of writing, and this one by far was better written than the first book. Even though there are things that I would change in the story for me, I still think that I delivered well. And overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think the execution was pretty solid for the most part. And based on how this was written, I'm really excited to finally read Six of Crows, the duology, and also the King of Scars duology. Like, those two, I have not read at all, but I do plan on reading them this year, so I'm really excited. I think for those, I will do reading vlogs just because I know they are more popular than this trilogy. But I finally finished it. I will be doing a review video for this. So the second book that I finished reading in June is Mockingjay. Now, for this one, for whatever reason, I got into the mentality that it was so subpar compared to the other 2 books, and that is far from the truth. I don't know how many times I've actually read this one in particular, because I can tell you I've read Mockingjay. I've read Hunger Games and Catching Fire more than I've read Mockingjay, but I can tell you right now that this book is not so far from the other books. I do prefer Hunger Games and Catching Fire over Mockingjay, but Mockingjay still holds its own and is such a solid ending to this trilogy. I think one of the reasons why people don't really enjoy this one as much as the other Hunger Games book is because this one delves into the revolution and the war, as opposed to the other ones. You're in the games, you're experiencing that side of things. And I do agree that I do like those better, but this one, with how it was written and how things were laid out, and even the way that Katniss was moving through this story, I found this book really compelling. I ended up giving it a 4.5 stars out of 5 instead of the full 5. The reason why is because the beginning part, when they're beginning to introduce District 13, I didn't really feel the desire to really keep reading. Like, I remember first 30 pages of the Hunger Games, I was in first 30 pages of Catching Fire, I was in first 30 pages of Mockingjay. I wasn't really in. And again, it's because they were trying to establish District 13 and like how they are as a district, which wasn't really as interesting in my opinion. But once it actually started firing, it didn't stop. All right, so the third book that I read this month is At the Edge of the Universe. This is a book that I read for the first time. Never read it. It's been on my shelf for a couple years, but I finally got to it in June, and I've got to say it surprised me. But unfortunately for me, it didn't really hit the ending. If you don't know anything about this book, you pretty much got this guy named Tommy who is looking for his boyfriend that has disappeared. And not only disappeared, but like completely ceased to exist. Like nobody else remembers who that kid is. Um, there's no picture evidence. There's nothing written. Like, it, think of Spider-Man from No Way Home. Like, what happens with him? Peter Parker ceases to exist. That's literally what happens with Ozzy. Like, dude just ceases to exist, and the only person who remembers Ozzy is Tommy. So then this whole thing was like, well, is he? Did he imagine it? Or like what's happening? And then this other thing that was happening in the story was that the universe was shrinking. And I'm a sci-fi dude, also fantasy, but I also love sci-fi. And that part was really the thing that really struck me, because at first when he was saying that the universe is shrinking, I thought it was very like just metaphorical, but no, it was literal. Like dude was checking this website that tells you how many light years the universe is estimated to be, and like as he's checking continuously throughout the story, like it's shrinking. So then my whole thing was like, okay, this is legit, and now I need to know why. Like what is happening? Why does he remember Ozzy but nobody else? Like, was Ozzy a real person? Like, what's happening here? So to me, I was really intrigued and invested, but the landing just didn't stick for me. So again, 4 out of 5. Would I recommend it? I would, but like not buy it. I would recommend you reading it from the library. Like, check it out. Um, but I wouldn't really buy it. It didn't really hit with the ending for me. But if you have read this and you think otherwise, please let me know why, because I was really upset with how it ended. I will be doing a review video for this to further explain, but yeah, 4 out of 5. All right, so the last book that I read in June, I don't have a physical copy of. I did read it digitally. So it is called El Chico de la Última Fila. Now, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a review video out for this one, but it's pretty much about a man. He's, I think, at 30 years old now, and he goes to a concert with his ex roommates, and they meet the lead singer of the concert and everything. And pretty much the whole thing is that lead singer and him like connect. They end up falling in love. They have little problems here and there, but ultimately it's like just that romance book. I don't know. I didn't dislike the book, but again, I wasn't liking it, so that's why it's a 3 stars for me, because I'm really like neutral about it. I don't really care much about it. I found myself reading it more because I had to read. That was the current book I was reading. I had to read every day. I wanted to finish it before June ended. Like, it was very much that vibe, and I wasn't hating like the reading experience, like past books, but I wasn't like really enjoying it. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll do a review video for this one, but I, again, gave it 3 stars out of 5. It's all right. Would I recommend it? No, there's better books out there, but yeah. All right, so that is all that I've read from April to June. We're pretty much caught up. I will be doing a TBR of what I plan on reading in July. I also plan on doing a couple videos where I am reorganizing this library behind me, because it's a mess and I need to figure what to do with that. And then also we'll be doing review videos for the books that I have read in April and in June. Again, maybe not all of them will get review videos. I don't think I'll do one for El Chico de la Última Fila. And I don't know if I'm gonna do review videos for the Hunger Games books, just because I don't know. I mean, like, I love them all. So maybe I'll do one video going over the whole trilogy, but I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you think. Should I do like review video for each one, or should I just do one video for all three? All right, so if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. And yeah, hope you guys are having a good summer. See you next time.